Great run up.
Now he angles it somewhat. Barkadash!
Where do I start? It's been up and down.
I remember being a kid.
I can see that happening.
That's something, there's always something to do.
Be unlaced.
Unlaced podcast. It's actually not bad.
And we're live. Quick acknowledgement. Thank you, everyone, to all the listeners, the subscribers, everyone out there. We do it every week, but we do appreciate your support. I just wanted to talk about today because today's a big episode. Anyone who knows me has been listening to the Unlaced podcast. They know that I'm a Saints fan. And they know that I'm a heartbroken Saints fan at times, which is going to make this episode very interesting because we are with a bit of a Saints legend that's changed the guard and changed parts of late. But we have Lukey Dunstan in the studio. Lukey Dunstan, mate, it's a pleasure. How you going?
I'm well, thanks, mate. Thanks for having me.
No, absolute pleasure. Now, I'm not going to go into the details of this story, but we did have a run-in in Bali maybe 5-6 years ago where our relationship developed, and I felt like we built a rapport there because
we bonded.
Yeah, we bonded because you lost a bet, and let's say the bet was a bit strenuous on you, and I got you out of some trouble, and it was I feel like now we know each other
On an intimate level.
On an intimate level, that's right. But no, mate, it's been a bit of a crazy few weeks for you. So I guess how's that been for you? How's the last few weeks settled with you?
Yeah, well, pretty much as you said, it's been a bit of a whirlwind, been a bit crazy, but like we were talking off air, when you sort of went through what you went through when you were finished and there's uncertainty and all that sort of things, it did at times sort of start to become a bit more of a reality, and just the uncertainty around not knowing if I was going to be moving, if I was going to be getting anywhere, you just don't know. So, yeah, been a bit crazy, but couldn't be happy with the result.
Yeah, I bet probably like a bit of a relief as well in a sense, right? Because not only are you at a great club, but like you just to end that space of like, okay, now you're settled.
Yeah, 100%. I think I kind of explained it. I was on the phone to my cousin when I was telling him the news and sort of just spoke about it didn't really get to like a really stressful level where I was, freaking out, but it was just sort of because I knew most of the year that I wasn't going to be staying, like mild stress for a long time. And I think it did sort of, it did sort of build up. And like when it all sort of happened and went through, I was pretty exhausted for a couple of days. But yeah, as I said, I couldn't be happy with the end result. And it's been an awesome couple of weeks getting to know a few of the boys. I
can imagine. We're going to go into that, and we're obviously going to go into the history because, as I've just stated, and I think you were, I'm a Saints fan, right? So I'm fucking gutted. Like I am gutted. And like the Saints have a history and obviously for you, I think you have a great history with the Saints, which I'm sure you're probably really proud of because your first AFL club, you played over 100 games there, which is pretty special. But I mean, I just to come to, and we'll obviously go through the Saints story because you've got so much history there and you are a fan favourite or were a fan favourite as such. But what we touched on is the statement of Luke there just being settled and meeting some of the boys. He's now become a Melbourne Demon and couldn't have thought of a better club to go to from a performance point of view and a bit of a status point of view after they've just won the flag. But how did that opportunity arise and was there some alternatives to that could have maybe eventuated that you were pretty close to taking?
Certainly did. Like it came up pretty late just because they were still playing in the grand final, obviously with the Bulldogs. So essentially what teams do is when they sort of finish, they'll sit down and go through all their lists and what their needs and what they want to go after. And I'd sat down with my manager and we never sort of picked Melbourne as a team that was sort of going to be a candidate. So we had sort of narrowed it down to probably 2 opportunities and then I was actually on the golf course just after it had opened back up and I was talking about teeing up another phone call with head coach and my manager just kind of threw it in at the end. He goes, "Oh, by the way, Melbourne want to meet with you on Monday." So it all happened pretty quickly. They then presented to me over Zoom and
wow.
Yeah, I was really impressed by it all and things moved pretty quickly after that. So
did that when you say they presented, like when you say that, what do you mean exactly?
So basically it was very professional. They had basically just a PowerPoint presentation that obviously because it was
they wooed you.
Yeah, they did. Because it was over Zoom and all the obviously with COVID and everything. But they screen shared the PowerPoint presentation and just sort of I guess took took me through why they wanted me and made me feel a bit of love, which was something I probably haven't had for a little while. So it was a good feeling. And yeah, they were cropping my head into photos on Melbourne jumpers and stuff.
That's unbelievable.
It was a bit of a laugh.
Were they still in WA at this point? Was this like, were they back in Melbourne, most of them?
I think it was a bit of both. I think they'd mostly just gotten back to Melbourne.
Okay.
And then, so we went through that, and within 2 or 3 days, I was at the footy club and signed, and
right.
It all happened pretty quick. So it was
just like a good feeling from the get-go. You kind of probably knew initially.
Yeah, absolutely. And at the end of the day, like, I wasn't going to have to move. I wasn't going to have to move states, houses, anything.
Yeah.
So logistically, it made sense. And just in terms of what they spoke about, what they were valuing at the footy club, it was really just a bit of a no-brainer for me in the end.
Did you have other clubs that you can maybe state, or just other clubs in general contact? I assume, like for me, most clubs should have been chasing you for your experience and age, but were you sort of close before Melbourne came in to jump in somewhere else?
I'd spoken to a couple of other clubs, and it was probably looking like maybe Gold Coast were going to be the one, but then it all sort of turned around pretty late. So,
mate, it's pretty crazy. I think for what's interesting to me, and obviously want to get your opinion of it, even though you're an established AFL player, you've been in the system for 7, nearly 8 years or whatever. Is it daunting going into a new club, like a new environment, because you're so used to just the one setup, the one structure, walking through the same doors at RCA Park every day? Like, is that scary for you, or you're at a point now where not so much?
Not so much now. I mean, the boys have been awesome over the last couple of weeks. I've been training with a group of them, and leaving the Saints, what you spoke about, being there for however long it was, 7, 8 years, the change is something that I'm really excited for. And, maybe 5%, a little bit nervous about it. But at the end of the day, like, by the end of the time at the Saints, I was walking through the doors and kind of didn't want to be there, and the motivation had sort of gone. So for me to have that back, and I feel totally refreshed as a person and as a player. So, I feel like I'm in a really good state to now want to improve and work really hard.
Well, mate, now that I hear that, even though I'm a Saints fan, I am truly happy for you, because I think why, and I think all Saints fans will agree, we're pissed off because we've developed Lukey Dunstan into an absolute superstar, and he was always going to be, but the Demons are going to get the best years out of him, and I think the Demons have won out in this one, and they've picked up a good one. But if we wind the clock back a little bit, you're a South Australian boy, aren't you?
Yeah, correct.
So what's your sort of background there? Who were you playing for there through your childhood, junior career?
It's funny you bring that up. I actually grew up playing. I'm from the Clare Valley.
Okay.
A few nice Reds.
I was going to say, that wine district?
It is. It's good.
That's why you've got an acquired taste, right?
Yeah. Exactly. So there's 2 teams in Clare, and then obviously the surrounding teams, but there's a South Clare and a North Clare, and I played for South Clare, and they were the Demons. So it's kind of worked out pretty funnily in the end that, hopefully I'll be pulling the Demons jumper back on shortly.
That's pretty crazy. So you've gone through your pathway playing footy in South Australia, which is obviously an elite environment. I mean, anyone that's been around Adelaide, and I actually used to play soccer in Adelaide, so I know how big footy is there. But you got picked up in 2013 in the draft by St Kilda I think you went pick 18 or something, which from memory, the Saints actually traded for that pick. So how was that moment for you? How did that come about? Were you sort of in contention to go other places? Like, was it nervy coming to Melbourne?
Coming from SA and going through all the pathways, if you're going to get drafted, there's a high chance that you're going to have to move somewhere. So I'd sort of come to terms with that, and I wasn't really a person who got too homesick or anything. I was, pretty happy to embrace the change, but the whole sort of way along, like weeks out of the draft, my manager was pretty confident that it was going to be Saints.
Okay.
Pick 18 was the first club that we'd sort of gotten a fair bit of confidence from. So, I had an idea, but until you obviously go through it and you don't know what's going to happen. So.
Mate, it must be just like, I always think of that day as like what's going through players' heads. Like your life is dictated by a phone call on a day, and it's just crazy to me. Not many other sports are like that, especially in this country. I think AFL is one of the only ones where there's like a draft.
Yeah.
It's quite big in America. But going in the top 20 of like any draft, and particularly the AFL, it's a huge achievement, right? And one thing that, and particularly you'll relate to because you're closer to the sport and obviously me coming out of it, like a lot of players that are highly regarded at a young age or go in the top 20, they don't play over 100 games like you have, right? So I kind of just want to, and they're obviously all talented. So I kind of just want to get your perspective of like, where's the gap there? Like, what is it? Is it a mentality thing? Is it about adapting to the AFL system? Is it just luck? Like, what do you think's key to kind of having a steady career and I guess a stabilised career in the profession?
It's a hard question. I mean, it's probably a number of things. It might be with some guys' talent where maybe they just didn't have enough talent. The recruiters, saw something that wasn't there or whatever it is. But
they stuffed up completely.
Which can happen. But then, there's obviously the side of it from a player's still got to want to work hard and improve and better themselves. And the biggest thing I've struggled with in my career was just going through all the junior things. I was able to go through the preseason and end up getting picked for round 1. It might have not even been till year 3 where I got dropped for the first time, and the whole thing for me was just a massive sense of embarrassment, and that was the biggest thing that I've had to deal with. And I spoke to you off air about Emma Murray, telling me I'm still a person. You don't change as a person. It's got nothing to do with that. So
I don't obviously know you personally, but just from afar, when I look at your statistics, I always had this feeling you were quite mentally tough because you played a lot of games, like every season from when you were drafted. You played a lot of games almost every year up until the last year or two. But I always look, from my experiences, I always look at players when they go back into the 2s and the 3s to see how they bounce back, because I went through a lot of that and I just self-imploded because I'm like, I don't want to play here. Like for you, who wants to play Sandy Zebras on a windy Sunday and bounce back in? But you always had good games. So my interest is like when you get dropped in the AFL system, particularly at St.Kilda, a bloke's coming around you, putting their arm around you, trying to sort of pick you back up, say, play well this week. What's that like?
From my experiences, there's probably not enough of it. And that was something that I did struggle with. Like, I would obviously speak to my close mates, but all I just wanted was basically just come on, give you a pat on the back and say, like, you'll be fine, mate.
Yeah.
Whatever. But yeah, there probably wasn't enough of it. And I know it's hard because everyone just does get caught up in themselves and their own career and worrying about preparing for that week's game and whatever else. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think I've probably shown this year, for me personally, I've probably shown the most adversity, mental toughness with what I went through this year. I basically knew at the start of the year I wasn't going to be playing, given that the guys that we'd sort of gotten in, and I knew that basically I was pretty much last on the pecking order.
You still played what, 12 games?
And then, yeah, I was lucky. Luckily, a few things fell my way with injury, and but I think at one point it was, I can't remember exactly how far into the year, but we were maybe 4 or 5 rounds into the AFL season, and the VFL season had just started, and I played a game at Port Melbourne, and I think I had 49. The boys came out, got absolutely pumped, and I didn't get a word from anyone all week, and I was kind of like, well,
jeez,
where am I at, sort of thing. So I basically got on the front foot and wanted to speak to the coaches and just have an open and honest, and basically just see where I'm at, so I can actually go and, that way I know, and I can stop getting my hopes up each week and whatever else. So basically we had that conversation, and I think that week, I could be wrong, but from memory we had about 5 blokes to pick from that weren't either injured or not playing. So I then had that conversation, was basically told, yep, basically what I thought, you're last in the pecking order, we're not sort of going to play you.
Wow.
And in a way, there was a bit of a sense of relief in some sense, because I knew then that I could just, all right, I don't have to worry about that. all I can focus on now is just playing good footy in the VFL.
So that helps you in a sense.
So in a sense, yeah, the honesty and the clarity, was able to actually help me. So I went out and played that week, and yeah, it was a bit of a stressful week. I'd been through a bit of personal stuff as well that I was dealing with, and I sat down with the VFL coach. I think we might have had our first win for the year, and I sat down in the rooms with the VFL coach afterwards and had a bit of a chat with him, and like I ended up getting a bit emotional, and sort of it all got to me. But from that point on, I probably felt better, just better about everything, and the fact that I'd gotten through that, I was still able to play a good game of footy, even though I was pretty knackered and didn't have a lot of energy. But and then obviously got lucky enough that guys weren't performing, and eventually I got my opportunity, and was able to play some reasonable footy through the middle of the year, and I just think for getting through that, if I was to have even finished up this year, I would have had a sense of satisfaction out of what I was able to achieve this year.
To overcome.
So that's been a real positive. And then, as I said, now I've got a fresh start, and I couldn't be more motivated and wanting to train hard and improve and get better every day is something I'm looking forward to.
There's I feel like there's nothing worse than when you're in those environments, professional environments that are team structured and reliant on coaches selecting you, when a coach doesn't speak to you. Like for me, that's the worst. That's when you know something's wrong. Like if you're not playing but they're still talking to you, then okay. But when they're not speaking, that's when it's like fuck. And I've been there, mate, so I know how hard that is. So, but it's funny you talk about this and people hearing this perspective, right, from Lukey Dunstan. Lukey Dunstan, you played 12 games this year and had 11 Brownlow votes. Like, are we living in a world where, why is he not still at St Kilda? Why are we not playing him? The second highest Brownlow votes after Jack Steele, who was just immense this year. So it amazes me as much as it maybe amazes you.
I've actually had to apologise to Steely for
stealing some of them.
For trying to, I didn't intend to, Jack. So I have apologised, but it was a bit of a lighthearted
mate,
joke.
well, look, I think it's testament to you that based off what you're saying that you're still able to perform like you touched on. But I mean, obviously there was a bit of a sour end for you, which we'll talk about a little bit. But for just holistically, I mean, how do you look back on your time at the Saints? You obviously came in as a young kid. Now you're leaving as a man. Like, what's your sort of perspective on that?
No, the thing I just think about is that I've met so many amazing people over my time there that, like, I'm not sour in any way. Like, I still have really close friends that are at the club, which I'm going to obviously, keep those relationships. But players that are no longer at the clubs, and that I've, crossed paths with, I've been very lucky and, very grateful for the opportunity. Mate,
pretty cool. If I always actually wanted to know as well, I mean, you came in wearing the number 36. I think year 2, they gave you number 7.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, for those that know the number 7 in St Kilda, Lenny Hayes, I mean, there's a bit of weight on that jersey. Like, did that ever faze you? Did you grab that? Like, what was that? Because I always think, like, wearing 7, 12, 35 at St Kilda, the great legends of the club, it's fucking bit of weight on that, bit of pressure.
Yeah, it's a hard one. I've never probably really sat down to, like, think about.
It's also quite probably honourable too. Like,
yeah, absolutely. It was. I remember when it happened. It was the last game of the season, and as I said, I'd had a shoulder reco. So the last game of the season was in Adelaide, and they'd asked me to come to the game and be in the rooms and whatever before and after the games, and I didn't really know why, because I'd already just gone home to spend a bit of time with family. And then I sort of got wind of it, that it might have been happening. And I think in the lead up, Lenny might have even spoken to me about it, but it was his last game and he was retiring.
So you crossed over with a year with Lenny?
So we had a year together.
Okay.
And then he sort of asked me the question, and it was obviously a massive honour and very grateful, but at times, I don't know. I definitely wouldn't say I regret it, but I mean, I see some of the things that fans have, said.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing though, because there's nothing, like the way the fans view it. When I asked that, and the reason why I asked that is because the natural view is they just compare you to Lenny. And you're never going to be Lenny. You're always going to be Luke Dunstan, whether you're better than what Lenny's career was or not. Like, you're going to be a different player.
Yeah.
But you'll always be compared to that. So it's like that's why I think is it frustrating for you in a sense?
I'd never say frustrating, but it probably just like if I had my time and look back on how it's actually gone, taking that on was it was a massive thing. And obviously I probably was never going to live up to what Lenny was able to achieve. So it's a hard one. But I've still got funny story. Lenny left me when he finished up, and as I said, I was already back home. So he went through the lockers and cleaned out his locker, and then there was obviously the handover. When I went back in day one of pre-season the next year, he'd left his Guernsey, his pair of lucky jocks hanging on the hook in the locker, and a little personal note in the locker, which was unfortunate because then we moved from Seaford back to Moorabbin. So that message is still sitting in the locker in Seaford that I haven't seen in 4 years.
Wow.
I think I did ask at the time of when we moved if I could get it cut out or whatever, but wasn't
What did the message say? Was it just...
No, it was just a bit of a joke.
Repeat.
It was just a bit of a joke. Something.
But that's pretty cool. So
Old fella was here. I hope it's as good to you as it was to me. And then signed off. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome, and I still speak to Lenny every now and then, and he's off in Sydney now and doing his thing and whatever with his family. But pretty cool. As I said, I've still got that jumper and those jocks, and I'm waiting when I'll probably finish my career and whatever. I'll get him framed and put into a room somewhere.
That's amazing, mate. He's a superstar. Speaking of like superstars, for you, was there ever like a standout player, past or present, in your time there that you just like, this bloke's a cut above, or like they're just so elite? Like, anyone that sticks out for you?
Yeah, the one is probably obviously Rui.
Yeah.
Being able to watch him was pretty cool, and with how hard he worked and how well he looked after his body, like he was squeezing extra years out of his career just through professionalism. So it was pretty amazing to watch him, and to say I've played with him, like, it's another cool thing.
Yeah,
I'm sure
crazy.
When I finish and say I played with Nick Rewalt to the grandkids or whatever, that'd be pretty cool.
That's I can imagine. Was for him though, with his, like, because obviously he had ability and stuff, but was there little things that he did that for like young guys around that were just like, okay, well, they're the things that I've got to start doing? Did that rub off on the other younger players coming through?
Yeah, certainly.
Yeah.
As I touched on, like his professionalism and the way he'd get his body up for each game, for the young guys to be able to see that was pretty awesome.
The one flag voodoo, and we are going to go on to the Demons and obviously a bit more about yourself, but just from a Saints fan, so a bit drenched in sorrows here, mate. I haven't seen a flag, nor has my dad, but the one flag voodoo. From an external and a fan point of view, obviously it's well documented, but I'm just curious to know, like, inside the four walls, the club culture, does that actually play on people's mind? Do they say it doesn't, but does it? Like, is it there, or is it not really a thing for you guys? It's like you can only control what you can.
To a degree. I mean, it's like it gets spoken about, and I think the thing that people keep saying is, like, if you're the group that does it, you'll be immortal and all that sort of thing. So it definitely, like, it gets brought up, but it's not like used as a negative thing.
Right. Okay.
We haven't won in this long.
Yeah.
But it's a bit of a dangle of the carrot.
Yeah, right.
If you can be a part of it, like, it'll be pretty special, as
you
could attest coming from the Saints fan.
But this must be exciting for you because you're going to a club where everyone expects you to be finals, everyone expects you to be at the pointy end of the season. So for you, there must be some natural excitement because you probably haven't experienced as much as you would have liked in that space.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was another factor in going to Melbourne, was obviously they're in the position that they are. They've just won one, and they've got
it's a very
young group still. Who, from what I can see, all just still want to get better and improve. So, it's definitely exciting. And through my career so far, I haven't even played in a game of finals. So, if that's, if I'm lucky enough for that to happen, it'd be pretty awesome.
Yeah. For you, because we've spoken of, like, your consistency, and for those that don't know, Lukey Dunstan's career from when he was drafted. If you look at his statistics, I think he played like 16, 17 games every year up until 2020, which is not an easy thing to do. Like, one, to not be injured for that long, but to be consistently playing games it's pretty special. Like, when you look back on the last sort of year or two, like, where did the breakup kind of start for you based off the fact that you obviously came in and you played so well for so long? Like, where for you did that sort of start to diminish?
I think so. 2 seasons ago, I'd played. I think I played a fair bit. I think I might have missed towards the start of the year. I missed maybe a group of 3 or 4 games, and then basically I came back in for the rest of the season, and I finished 7th or 8th in the BNF that year. And then the following year, which was last year, I played in round 1, and then basically we came off after playing on a Sunday. We played North, were up by 6 goals. And
is this in 2020 we're talking?
Yeah.
2020.
And Friday they came back and I think Rowe missed a shot with like a minute left.
Ah, yes.
And we lost by under a goal. We walked back into the change rooms that game, and basically everyone was obviously pretty miserable, as you can imagine. And they pulled us into the meeting room and basically said, like, COVID's cooked. The season's like off for at least 8 weeks. Like, you're going to be going home.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it was a bit of a weird feeling. Anyway, so after the break, I was dropped for the round 2 whenever that happened. Came back, and we started playing like those scratch matches. I don't know if you heard about them. They were like unofficial games
Against the other
because
clubs?
the VFL wasn't running, so it's basically like you would match up with whoever you play in the AFL. You'd play their seconds essentially.
Okay.
So I played in maybe 1 or 2 of those, and the second one I tore my pec and had to get surgery, and I missed basically the whole year, and just came back. I was able to come back and play like 1 or 2 scratchies just before the boys got back to finals. I think I was back available like 1 week to go, and then obviously, they were playing good footy and I didn't get in. And then that was like the off season. Then we got, I think Crouchy came across that off season.
Right, from the Crows.
From the Crows. And I almost left the Saints that year in that off season. But
presuming you weren't going to play much?
Yeah,
like did they wouldn't given you that sentiment? You just done the math there?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, it was just crossing the, putting the dots together. But
yep.
Yeah, we nearly had something done, and then that broke down sort of last minute. And then when I knew I was going to be coming back, like I obviously knew, as I said to you, like I'm probably not going to be
playing as much.
So I guess that's where it started, like 2020.
Yeah.
I got dropped for round 2 and then got injured, so it was a bit of a cooked year.
Does the club, like the coach Rats and stuff, do they communicate that stuff with you, or are you just seeing the trades come in with all these like stacked midfilders and you're just like, okay, well this is happening?
Yeah.
Is it just like that?
You get a feel. So.
yeah, you're not an idiot. Yeah, that's crazy, man. So, like, just based off the season you had, I mean, I know your mind, you kind of had clarity you were going to be gone, but like, was there ever sort of, that the communication between you and the coaches, or the coaches that just sort of died down, like, and you kind of just like, well, I'm not valued here, I need to go? Or was it just in your head, you just felt ready for a change anyway?
There was maybe a little bit of that, but it was more like I said to you, I didn't really have a lot of motivation to want to get better and improve, which, like, when you stop getting that, that's not a good sign. And then I think just with the change of scenery, like I'd probably gotten used to it, a bit too comfortable in the same environment for so long, and it just becomes a bit stale. So, just the opportunity to go like anywhere and get a fresh start, and basically just a new environment.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's been very rejuvenating.
Yeah, I can imagine. And it's funny because the Saints have, like, anyone watches St Kilda, we've got a gun midfield, but I think probably you've arguably gone to the best midfield in the country. Like, I mean, we know we've got the Bulldogs that are pretty stacked, but the Demons, like Oliver, Petraka, Gawn, Viney, like, that just must be awesome. Like, for you to link up with them, that must naturally just rejuvenate you, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm looking forward to being able to train with those guys. And, like, I came into the club to do a weight session with the fitness guy like a week after they'd gotten back.
Yeah.
And Petraka was in the gym like
You're joking.
throwing these weights around. I was like, fucking
No way.
so.
After he had just had 40
yeah,
and won a
literally
flag and
won the Norm Smith, won a flag, and like a week later he was back in the gym training. So that for me, like straight away seeing that was pretty cool. And then yeah, just the way all the boys have been attacking their training, and I've started going with Gussie Brayshaw and Gorney. We're all in a similar area and running around Bentley and a few of those spots, Bayside, but going to his mate's gym at Pulse 8 afterwards.
Oh.
We started that up last week. Honestly, the hardest thing, 40
Really?
minutes of my life. Like, we're on our deathbed last Friday, Arvo. But yeah, we've started doing that, and like just to be doing something different and all that sort of thing. Like it's been awesome.
do you see a shift, like given what they've won and where they're at, do you naturally, coming from the Saints where we obviously didn't have the greatest year, do you just see like a shift in mentality in those blokes, or like an energy that's just, or are they doing what anyone would normally do anyway?
No, I mean, like they're just doing their program and what they're
Right, so the
told to
clubs,
do,
this is
but-
what the club's putting on them kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's just probably a bit like it's more exciting for me because it's new, fresh, and as I said,
You're running with blokes that have won a flag, and
I've got some motivation. Like they've poor guys, they've been getting hassled everywhere they're running by
I
the
can imagine.
general public. So yeah, it's been cool to see that, and I think they're all just really motivated to. Obviously, they didn't have the opportunity to do it in Melbourne, but
Yeah.
they were over in Perth, and yeah, I think they're all just excited by the fact that if they were able to do it in Melbourne, it'd be even bigger. So
Did one thing you spoke of, actually, one of your first interviews with the Demons, I saw like a sort of draw card for you was obviously all the things you've stated, but they saw areas for you to improve your game and like, you know, identified some areas that you could develop and obviously push the team or support a role for the club. What were some of those things that they sort of identified for you, or even you identified in yourself you want to get better at?
yeah, well, the thing, I mean, it's been well documented. I want to get better at my kicking, and that was the knock at St. Kilda, and I've already started putting a bit of a plan in place, which like, and as I said, this is because I'm motivated and now I'm in a new environment. I want to get better. But if I was to stay at the Saints, like I probably wouldn't have put that plan in place, if
That's
that makes
crazy,
sense.
yeah.
So like, just with where I was at, like I just wasn't motivated. So
Yeah.
so yeah, I mean, I've started doing that, and they sort of spoke about having just a real focus on your strengths, which excites me as well. I think.
Yeah. Was you played a lot of your footy under Alan Richardson? I think pretty much was Richo and Bratz. They're the only two coaches you've had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Richo came in the year I was drafted.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Is he working at the Demons now? Isn't he? Was that a draw card for you as well? Was he someone that got in touch and?
Yeah. He called me. He actually called me on my way home from golf that day, which I spoke about. Yeah, we had a quick chat, and I can't thank him enough, and I'm just looking forward to being able to work hard for him. It's exciting.
Because you played some of your best years of footy under him, so it must be nice to go. I think it's always good to play where you wanted, right? But like when you have people like that, you got a good history with. It must just give you like a good feeling about the place as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
You've touched on your work with Emma Murray, which actually I just wanted to go into because I find this interesting, and we actually spoke off air, like probably when I finished up playing soccer and you came into the system, there wasn't really much like sort of push towards that space or, you know, looking at yourself beyond a footy player exactly. How have you sort of utilised her, and what's that kind of given you back, maybe just day-to-day life or life balance? Like what's sort of the benefits you found of spending some time with her? Who's a sports psychologist for everyone that doesn't know and listening in.
Yeah. So I was lucky enough to cross paths with her when the Saints did employ her, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, I think it was. And yeah, we just hit it off, and as I said, that was sort of around the time that I'd been dropped for the first time, and I was working through all that. So just to be able to have a really good connection with her, and like a family of amazing people, awesome people, and I've become friends with all of them, and that's great. But it was probably just like a little bit from a personal side of things, but then also like performance. You would just have so much clarity going into a game and into a session, what you wanted to get out of it, and
That's fascinating.
and what you needed to do. So she kind of did, in a way, like strip things back and just give you just simple focus points, because like if you got 10 things to worry about, you're not going to be able to do one of them. So
It's interesting you say this because Geordie DeGoey was on the other week and he said, because he had a lot of stuff going on this year, and he was like, he was going into game days like so clear and comfortable with a lot of the work he was doing with a similar type person, Jackie Lauder. So it's pretty crazy how you say the same thing. Cause like,
yeah. And I think like you go through a process with her to actually like find out what those things are that you need to focus on. Like I've got my you call them mental triggers or whatever, but I've got those things, and then if you've got those 3 things front of mind, the rest of it sort of just comes and you can sort of just play a bit more freely, which is sort of what you do when you're a young fella and you come in, you're 18 years old and you're just playing on instinct. So to be able to get an element of that back is good, while still knowing all the structure and game plan and all that, because I think that's what gets taken out of kids is because they get coached so heavily. Then they actually lose a bit of like the flair.
Become a bit robotic, right?
Yeah, which I think is now good in the game. I think the guys that have been drafted like the last couple of years, I think that's now is actually like a focus for them to like go play on instinct. Awesome. We don't care if you stuff up, sort of thing. So.
Are they some of the things you'd fall back on, like through the tougher times? Are there some of those things you just mentioned? Like if you're going through some stuff on the field, getting dropped or whatever, like is that the stuff you'd instantly turn to get back up and sort of stay focused for you?
Well, if like it wouldn't change. It wouldn't matter if I was playing Friday night on the MCG or if I was playing in the wet and cold at Sandy. I would still have basically the same focus as going into a game. Knowing what I needed to do. So
right, okay. Now I want to get to know a bit of you off the field because I know you play golf, as you mentioned. I know you love, don't mind a cocktail at Cocoon Beach Club in Bali. But I mean, what sort of keeps you, interested off the field? Because you obviously, I know you're defined as an AFL player and you're training every day and playing every week. But realistically, you've got a lot of alone time, a lot of downtime. Like, how do you keep yourself busy?
Well, I mean, it's been pretty hard during COVID.
I can imagine, right?
But I'm no good at golf. I'm playing off 18 or something. I'm terrible.
All right, okay.
But I just love being able to, and especially probably since COVID, being able to get out and walk around and be out of the house for 4 hours. So it's good to get out there, have a bit of a yarn with your mates and hang a bit of shit on them about spraying them probably further right than I did. But no, recently, I think it was just before the start of COVID. It's coming up in a week, actually. My dog's second birthday.
Oh, right.
A German Shepherd, and he obviously took up a fair bit of time. And
bloody oath.
Love him to death, but he's a bit of a menace. He's the size of a horse running around a hallway at home. So
they say dogs reflect their owners. So.
Well, probably spot on. He's got a big nose too, so that makes sense. But no, I mean, I spent a fair bit of time with the dog. Over the last couple of years. I was gaming for a while, but I haven't touched my PlayStation since we got to Noosa a year and a half, nearly 2 years ago.
Oh, right, okay.
Haven't picked it back up. The boys were mucking around playing FIFA and having a fair bit of fun while we're up in the hub.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But yeah, I've put that away. And then, met a girl at the start of this year as well, and that's taken up a fair bit of time in COVID
they do
as
relationships.
well.
They're locked up in the same place. You can't go anywhere, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So no, that's all going well, and just looking forward to hopefully being able to get home and spend a bit of time with family. It's been a fair while between drinks with them, so
I can imagine.
With any luck, I'll be able to get back to SA. But
before Christmas, that'll be the goal if they lift those border restrictions.
Yeah.
Do you have? We touched on this, correct? Because I know you've played with a lot of teammates that have been good footy players. Even now, some of the blokes that are getting delisted or traded around the leagues that you probably experienced, a relationship with. Like all of a sudden they're in. We spoke of off air, like the structured environments, and then you kind of in the abyss of like what's going on now, which you've experienced. But not everyone's going to land a club. Do you have a view yet of like life after footy? As you started sort of pondering there to like think of how you're going to keep yourself busy, other passions or interests in that space?
Yeah, I certainly have. And like it's probably, as I said earlier, like it's become a bit more of a reality this off-season, knowing that I was finishing up at the Saints and still had the unknown, like didn't know what was going to happen. Become a bit more of a reality then. But during, it was a few years ago now, but did a Cert 3 in carpentry with a few of the other boys, and last Thursday actually I've caught up with Sammy Gilbert, who
Yeah,
used
he
to
was
play
a
the
Saints
Saints, a few times over the off season, just to have a chat and whatever. And he sort of brought up going to do 1 day a week with him. He's at Balmain & Co, a construction company.
Okay.
And he's a site manager, so they've been kind enough to put me on 1 day a week at the moment. And
Oh, that's awesome.
sort of just getting a feel for what Sam's role is and how the business all sort of works and all that on site. So that's definitely an interest of mine, and it's been good to see what they get up to.
Mate, awesome. I tell you what, for those listening, Lukey Dunstan is a great bloke, a star off the field, and I think the Melbourne Demons have got a good one here, honestly. I've played 120 games for the St. Kilda, and the Saints, I'm going to be questioning that trade for a long time. But, mate, I just want to say thank you for coming on the show. Like, it's been an absolute blast, and really great to hear your story. And I think the year you had this year, considering all the things you said, is actually remarkable. So, mate, if you can get through that, I think you're going to have a great time at the Demons. And, mate, good to hear you're rejuvenated, that's for sure.
Thank you. That's good. Thanks for having me.
No worries. Pleasure.